Sorry, guys, I was a little late today. Oh, we still not yet have Pawan. Am I audible, Noor, Abhishek? Yeah, I got up a little late, so uh, I got delayed a little late. Let me check with Pawan. Huh? Mhm. 196. Huh? 196. This call is also not getting connected and no WhatsApp also. It's okay, looks like available on WhatsApp. Meanwhile, let me check all the things. Hi Pawan, Pradeep here. Yeah, he mentioned he's joining. Before he join, anything guys, anything you want to have discussion, any questions, clarifications? Have you guys tried all the things whatever we have discussed so far?
Not all the things, Pradeep, but I've been trying. So,
Okay.
like being a weekday, I'm a bit occupied, but today, tomorrow, I will be working on everything discussed so far.
Okay, okay, sure. Let me know, Abhishek, like even over weekend I'll be available. So if you have anything, right, like we can connect one on one or something and we can.
Sure, Pradeep, sure, sure. Thank you.
Sure, sure, Noor. Yeah, I would ping on WhatsApp. I guess I have Pawan. Sorry, Pawan. Like I know I had disturbed your sleep.
Pradeep, I got cold. That's why I could not get up.
So is it fine like now taking the call or?
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine, fine. No issues.
Okay, okay, great, great. Okay, guys. So, as mentioned, right, like today we are going to see on the entire pipelines, what is what are all the different components, how exactly an order will be processed, all those things we will check. And slowly we will go checking on the different components of the pipeline. Awesome. So let me so yeah. So under applications, we go to application platform and we go to process modeling, right? Like this is how you might have created many services like for testing the hello world and for testing the synchronous service, create order. Even yesterday while testing the XSLT component, I have asked you guys to come here and all. So now, like what exactly is this? Like why exactly we are doing things here? Okay, first thing is process modeling is the place where you want to define what is the process that should be followed by your order. Like for example, you placed an order. How exactly the order has to be processed to be processed? So there should be some flow. There should be some how to say uh, desired rules to be set. Like for example, you are going from here to US. Okay, like how would you go? Like first thing is the step is like you have to book a ticket, you have to go from your home to the airport, take a flight from there to like maybe you might have some layover in Abu Dhabi or anywhere, and from there you go to US. There will be port of entry, and from there you have to go to one more what you call, for example, you're going to New York, and from there you have to go for California or like Manchester or anywhere. Like you have to book one more domestic flight. So these are all the different steps or standard procedure which you have to follow. Likewise, people are placing orders. There should be certain steps or there should be certain flow that to be followed by the order. And who will decide this flow? Like for example, while going to US, who has decided that flow? Airlines people have decided that okay, so and so Pradeep has booked the flight and he has to go in this way. So the same way, whenever we are onboarding a client onto Sterling order management system, first of all we have to understand the order flow. Like what is the order flow they are expecting, like whether they are having inventory, what kind of inventory, what are all the different types of orders they place. Like for example, you book a ticket, you book domestic ticket, you book international ticket, right? So the same way you might have here also different kinds of an order. Like for example, any order you place from your home to get the things delivered to your home is called as sales order. So basically, warehouse is selling something. Just this is not the original definition, but I'm keeping this here for you guys to remember. Anything that is going out of the warehouse, or anything warehouse is selling, you call it as sales order. Okay, so you are placing an order and you are getting the inventory from warehouse to your home, right? But there should be some order placed by warehouse people to get the inventory, right? Like for example, I own a very big warehouse, okay, and I'm storing inventory of Apple iPhone. So how will I get the inventory? I have to request the manufacturer or the distributor to send some inventory to me. So for the requesting process or getting the inventory into the warehouse is called as purchase order or inbound shipment. So anything which is coming into the warehouse is called as inbound shipment or purchase order. The same way here also you'll have sales order or outbound shipment. So basically, what is the difference between order and shipment? We have already discussed. Whenever you are placing the order, it is called as order. Whenever you are requesting for something, that is called order. Whenever you are demanding for something, that is called as order. Whatever is coming to your home, that is a shipment. I have given an example. If you guys remember, I have placed an order for one pair of Nike shoe. I placed an order for one pair of Nike shoe and one pair of Adidas shoe. So this two order lines together is called as an order. But while processing that order or while fulfilling the order to your home, you might get one day a Nike shoe, and after 2 3 days you might get Adidas shoe. So anything which is shipping to your home is called as a shipment. So shipment is kind of an how to say, like part of the order, like it is related to an order. Okay, so these are the two things. And the third thing is transfer order. What is meant by transfer order? Like for example, you have a warehouse in Delhi, you have a warehouse in Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore. Okay, so the entire inventory is present in Delhi warehouse, and like we have to distribute the inventory among the warehouses. So transfer order is something moving or transferring the inventory from one warehouse to other warehouse. Okay, these are called as transfer orders. The next thing is return order. What is meant by return order? You have placed an order and you want to, like you are not liking it, or you no longer need it, or like you get all the list of reasons, right? Like you didn't like it, or you don't want it, the size is not good, or you find a better product. So all, whatever the reason, you are requesting the customer to take back his account to take back his product and give back the amount. So those kind of orders are called as return orders. Let me see what else we have. Sales, return, purchase, transfer. Yeah. So these are the major things, and whatever we have, rest of all are not being used, at least in any project so far. So while placing any of these kind of orders, how Sterling order management system will understand, because whatever the order you are placing the order in the website. Like for example, in Amazon website, I have placed an order for Apple iPhone, that is called as a sales order. Okay. And I want to return it, that is called as return order. Okay. And even for purchase order or transfer order, whenever that particular organization is trying to place an order to get the inventory or requesting the inventory or procure the inventory inside the warehouse, is called as a purchase order. So all these orders are getting placed in Sterling order management system. But thing here is, every order is unique by its own, right? Like for example, what is sales order? Sales order is something, it has to come from warehouse to your home. Purchase order is something you have to get it from the manufacturer to warehouse. Transfer order is between the warehouses, and return order is from your home to warehouse. So no two orders are similar. I mean, like, they don't follow similar order flow. So in order to differentiate the flow, we configure something called as pipeline. Okay, we configure something like a pipeline. And how to differentiate these? There is something called as process type in Sterling order management system. Okay, but there should be some identifier, right, in order to define what is what. So that is called as document type. So if you guys remember, I have already mentioned that whenever an order is getting created, there is an attribute called as document type. That particular value will decide what kind of order it is. So if it is in sales order, the document type is 0001. For purchase order, 0005. For transfer order, 0006. For return order, 0003. So these values are system defined. We can't modify them. And I have already shown you guys like where to see those values. You can go to Java Docs, create order API. So these things are coming in the input XML of create order API. So you can directly go to input XML, search for document type. See here, sales order is 0001, return order 0003, purchase order 0005, yeah, transfer order is 0006, like all those things. So somebody has placed an order. Okay, first thing is you can see document type, right? The base thing is an order, it's an order. So now somebody is placing an order. So first thing is document type. So what is a document type? Document type is something which will differentiate what kind of order you have placed. So let us assume you have placed an order for sales order. So system, what it will do? Okay, it will come to this like I'm just telling for understanding. Okay, system, what it will do? It needs some identifier. So we have given document type as 0001, and it comes here. And under sales order, again you have multiple things or multiple processes, right? As I just mentioned, you have the major thing is the document type, and under document type you have something called as process type. Under process type you have something called as pipeline. So under sales order, what are all the different things you might have? First thing is, as we already discussed, we will have an order, we will have a shipment. So order is something which you have placed and it will be processed. Like for example, you placed order for 10 quantity of XYZ product. So it has to check in which place it is present. It has to allocate the inventory. It has to release that to the warehouse, right? And the warehouse people has to fulfill. So whatever the process of warehouse people fulfillment is called as shipment, or else whatever is coming to your home is called as shipment. So any changes or any flow that needs to be followed by this particular sales order will come under order fulfillment, because it is an fulfillment of an order. And anything which is happening for a shipment or any flow that should be followed by the shipment, that comes under outbound shipment. Okay. And like these order negotiations and sales order receipts, they, like, I have not seen anyone using at least the order negotiation. It is not there at all. Okay. Maybe sales order receipt in few places there are there, like how to give an example. So basically, receipt, like maybe I'll not be able to give an exact example, but receipt is something which they want to receive into the warehouse. Like anything you want to get into the warehouse is called as an receipt. But like how sales order receipt can be done? Um, mm, 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 mm. Okay, I'll think of an example, but yeah, it's of I can say like 0.0001% people uses. Like the major things will be under order fulfillment and outbound shipment. The same way when you go to purchase order, here also you'll have purchase order and inbound shipment. So you go to purchase order, here also purchase order and inbound shipment. And here it makes sense. Purchase order receipt is nothing but whenever you are receiving into the warehouse, you will have something called as a receipt. And transfer order, the same way you can see transfer order also is having transfer order execution and delivery and receipt. Delivery is nothing but the shipment. Okay. And execution is the main order, or else they can say the transfer order, whatever you are placing. And the same way for return. Return logistics and return receipt and return shipment. Like this makes sense, right? I mean, like you can have a shipment or you can have a receipt, and even on the transfer order you will have a receipt, because transfer order is something you are sending from one warehouse to other warehouse. So receipt is nothing but you are getting the inventory into the warehouse. So even in transfer order you can have order, shipment, receipt. And even in purchase order you will have order, shipment, receipt. Even in return order you will have order, shipment, receipt. But on the sales order, the major thing we use is order and shipment, not on the receipt. So now let us, okay, any doubts so far? This is the base of Sterling. I mean, like, I'm not sure if anyone would, what we call, even cover these things in any training. But yeah, like for understanding, I want to do that, so I have did it. So, any doubts?
No, Pradeep.
At least understood, right? Like, I mean, this is the basic thing of Sterling, which no one would say or no one would have even come across. So I just want you guys to understand. Yeah. So now coming,
Yes.
we will go a step forward. Okay, let us check what is present in a sales order. So I am going to sales order. So here you can see there are many things. There are, like, I can say, 6 tab. Okay, let us go tab by tab. First tab is pipeline. Okay, pipeline is the steps or procedure an order should follow. I was mentioning, right, in order to go to US and all, right, so that is called as pipeline. So pipeline is something that will define what are the steps to be followed by the order flow. So how many pipelines we can have for sales order? Next question. So we can have n number of pipelines. Why do we need n number of pipelines? Because if you guys remember, we can have BOPIS order. I mean, like buy order, see, buy online, pick up in store. You can have ship to home. You can have drop ship. You can have rentals. Like all these things we have discussed, right? You can have digital order, all these things we have discussed. So each order has its own flow. So you can have those many pipelines. So let us open any one pipeline. So when we are having these many pipelines, how will the order understand which pipeline to follow? Or how will the system understand when somebody places an order which pipeline to use? There is something called as pipeline determination. So pipeline determination is something which helps in determining which pipeline to use for a particular order. Okay, so if you go into pipeline determination, you have something called as hub rule. So here in the hub rule, you can create conditions and you can check something and you can use that particular pipeline. So here you can see it is sales order service fulfillment, sales order fulfillment for bundle parent, sales order fulfillment. So there are three different pipelines. So let us see what is the condition they have used. So they are checking something. Item group code is PS or item group code is DS. PS is nothing but provided service, DS is nothing but delivery service. So if any order is having items with this item group code, then it will go follow this pipeline. If no, if it is not having that particular item group code, then it comes to next condition, that is if it is a bundle parent or not. Right, if it is a bundle parent, then it will come and follow this particular pipeline. If there is nothing called as bundle parent, or if there is nothing called as item group code PS or DS, then it will go and follow this pipeline. Okay, so now let us see what is happening in a pipeline. So you can see that these are the steps or flow or rules, or you name it, whatever you want. But any sales order you place, and if the pipeline determination decides, or I can say like yeah, if the pipeline determination is going through the condition and deciding this is the pipeline it has to follow, then it will follow. So now let us see what is an order flow before I go more detail into the pipeline. So these are the different statuses of an order that will be created. Created is nothing but when you create an order, then it will be scheduled. What is meant by scheduled? Scheduling is nothing but scheduling your order. Like you placed an order, and scheduling is nothing but from, excuse me guys, sorry. Scheduling is nothing but deciding the ship to date, or deciding from which warehouse it has to come, right? Or it, it can be even like allocation of inventory. So there are many things as part of scheduling. Okay, so these are just the high level things. We are going to talk about the very detailed scheduling rules and all, so that we will discuss in few in further sessions. But yeah, first status is created, then it is scheduled, then it is released. Released is nothing but releasing the order to warehouse. I mean, you are informing the warehouse to process the order. After that, you will have something called as send to node. What is meant by send to node? Send to node is nothing but you are sending the order to the warehouse. So this is the basic order flow. Okay. So let us see how that will be. So you can see every day or whenever we are creating an order, we will invoke create order API, right? So for every API, whatever you are invoking, there will be a corresponding transaction. So this particular folder structure, whatever you are seeing, is called as a transaction. So whenever you are invoking create order API, internally it is invoking this particular transaction. So what is the output of this create order? Order is created. Okay, so that is the reason why whenever you placed an order, the order status will be in created status. So whatever you are seeing on these lines, so all these things, whatever you are seeing on each of the line, right? That is called as status. Okay, so now an order is placed, it is moving to created status. Then what is happening? It is going to some status called as created EX. So basically, this is something which I have created. It is an extended transaction that we will talk later. But ideally, after create, it will go to scheduled. So schedule is one more transaction which will do all these jobs, the deciding that this and all. So once the scheduling is completed, you can see there is a line which is having the status as scheduled, and it is going to a transaction called as release, right? So this particular release transaction will again what you call send the information to warehouse, and you can see it is having some one more transaction called as consolidate to shipment. So basically it is what you call that doing consolidation. Like for example, you have placed an order, multiple orders, or else like from your area or from your zip code, there are multiple orders. So in order to send all those orders together, there is something called as shipment consolidation. So what they will do, they will group all those shipments, and they can send it to you. Okay, and after that it will be included in the shipment. Included in the shipment is nothing but, as I mentioned, creating the shipment and sending it to the warehouse. And once that is done, it is going to shipment shipped. And once the shipment is shipped, it will be on the way to your home. And once you receive it, it is called as delivered. So shipped is nothing but it is going out of the warehouse, and delivered is nothing but it has reached you. So once the order is delivered, it will be stamped as order delivered. And after order delivered, it is going to a transaction called as purge order. So there is a concept in Sterling that is called as purging. So purging is something called as removing the order information or any transactional data which is not in use. Like for example, you placed an order today, and after 6 months, the customer or the client don't need that order information, because it is basically increasing his memory. But like within 6 months, everything is what you call, I can say, used, or there is no use of your data after 6 months or whatever it is. So in order to have the database clean, they use this process called as purge order. Okay, so this is the order flow, how exactly an order flows from one status to other status. So in order to move the order from one status to other status, there is something responsible that is called as a transaction. So in order to move the order from created status to scheduled status, you can see from created status it is moving to scheduled status. Who is doing the job? The scheduled transaction is doing the job. And from scheduled to released it is moving. So who is doing that? It is, you can see, scheduled. When you are sending the scheduled to this transaction, it is coming out as released. So what does that mean? It is basically the release transaction is doing the job of moving the order from scheduled to released. Sorry, guys. And from released, it is moving to included in shipment. Who is doing that? Again, it is one more transaction. So, in order to process the order from one status to other status, what is responsible? The transaction is responsible. So where are the transactions configured? That is the next tab, that is transactions. So here you can see you have all the transactions which can be used as part of any pipeline. Okay, like for example, I want to or else, like, let us assume I have created this new transaction. What is this transaction doing? You can see it is taking created status and it is dropping the order to created ex status. Okay, and after created ex status, it is going to scheduled. So this transaction is created by me. I mean, I have created this for my understanding, just to understand how we can have my own transaction and all. Like, I'll show you guys in the upcoming sessions. We are going to create our own transaction and see how exactly it happens. So if you see, this is my transaction which I have created, and I want to use this transaction as part of the pipeline. It is as simple as dragging and dropping it here, and you can connect the dot whatever you want. Okay, so creation of transaction, whether it is a task based or non task based transaction, we have a separate concept. You can see here, task queue and non task queue based transactions. So one full day we will talk about this particular creation of transactions and how to use them. Okay, so basically transaction is something which will help the order to process from one status to other status. Okay, the next thing is statuses. Like, you can see all these things whatever I have mentioned, they are statuses, right? So in order to process the order from one status to other status, you should have statuses. Like for example, created is there. I wanted to move from created to created ex. So I have to create a status, right? I have to create a status. For creating the status, you have to go to the third tab. That is the this is the statuses tab. So how to create a status? The next question. First of all, to create a status, you should understand where that status will come. Like, I mean, after which status and before which status it should come, you have to decide. Because status here in Sterling, ideally it is looking it as a string. You can see it as a string, right? Created is a string. It is an varchar, right? But internally it is an integer, or I can say it is a number. So if I go to created status, you can see it is 1100. If I go to scheduled, where is it? Scheduled. Scheduled is 1500, right? Anything between 1100 and 1500, if you see any other statuses, right? Like for example, I'm checking awaiting for schedule, it is 1100.1. If I'm checking reserved, it is 1200. So basically it is an incremental. So if you see the first one, a draft order created, it is 1000. So it is an incremental process. If you go to the last one, cancelled is 9000, and you can see shipped is 3700. So basically status, ideally it is an string whatever we are seeing, but it is a number internally. So what I have just mentioned, you guys understood, right? Like, I mean, it goes from a smaller number to bigger number. So in order to create a new status, first of all you should decide where you want to use that status, in between which status. Like for example, here I want to use this created ex status between created and scheduled, right? So created is 1100, scheduled is 1500. So I want to use it after created. So how should I create that? I have to click on created, then I have to click on plus. You can see it is coming like 1100 by default it is coming, and you can give some number like whatever number you want. Extension of created, right? So I'll just give 1100 001. Okay, and I will name my status as uh, mm, created, or else I'll creation done. I'm just giving some random name. Okay, you can see I have created it. So you can see it has created the status as 1100.001. And if you see here, okay, currently it is creation done is down somewhere. I'll refresh. As I mentioned, right, anytime you do any configuration, you have to refresh your configurations. You can see system has detected the changes. Current view must be refreshed. Click OK to refresh. So now you see the creation done should come, yes, above. So first it is created, then creation done, then scheduled. So in order to use any service, you should know where that service, in order to create any status, you should know where that status has to be used. Any doubts so far, guys, on the transactions, pipelines, and statuses? Awesome.
No,
No,
Pradeep.
Pradeep.
When I'm going back to pipeline, so here you might have seen there is something called as a condition, or even in our pipeline determination also you have seen some this rhombus or diamond symbol. In general, also in any flow chart, we use that as a condition, true or false condition. So in order to create those true or false conditions, you have to go to third place. These are all the conditions, right? And we are having different types of conditions, that is like static condition, dynamic extended dynamic conditions and all. So how to create a static, how to use a how to create a dynamic, how to use static, what is the difference between static and dynamic, all those things will be covered in the next two sessions. Okay. That is on the condition. Like for example, I have created a condition, I want to use that condition, just drag and drop it. Okay, and one more okay, we will talk more detail tomorrow. I don't want to waste time. So far we have understood pipelines, pipeline determination, transaction status, and condition. Okay, so any other component is present here? Like okay, I'll only go through, this is a transaction, and whatever the lines you are having now, those are called as link. Like if you remember one day I was mentioning, I have taken an example of a service, and I have told you, right, the start node, the end node, and in between I have some what do you call that, API node, and the lines, right, which are connecting, those are called as link. You remember these guys?
Yes, Pradeep.
Okay, if you guys remember, in which table I can find this data? This XML I have copied it from the database. If you guys remember, what is the table name I have copied it from?
YFS trace component.
No, 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 no.
YFS
Subflow.
YFS subflow.
Yeah. So YFS flow is the table which will have the list of services. YFS subflow is the table which will have the configuration data of that particular service. And YFS trace component is used to check or used to see the list of loggers or the traces enabled. Okay. Don't get confused, guys. I know it is like something new for you guys, but yeah, don't worry. We will learn together. Okay, so yeah, those are links, and these are called as connectors. I mean, like this particular thing. So basically those are used to have like multiple connections out of one connection. Like for example, my order. Okay, here only you can see. Anywhere we have two. It is basically a pipeline. I mean, like even you want to supply water to two different rooms, what you will do, you will put one connector between, and the same pipeline can go to multiple people. Yeah, right, like something like that. It is kind of a connector. So connector is basically used to, or what you call that, how to say, to extend that particular status. Like for example, you can see here I can add a connector actions, add horizontal connector, vertical connector. So you guys got it right. Like the input will be one, but the output can be three. It is like an water pipeline connection only. Okay, and this is also a transaction, but it is a different kind of a transaction. We call it as listener. That also we will discuss. And yeah, that's all. We have covered all the components so far, right? We have two other things here. One is called as actions, one is called as services. So where are these used? Let us see. When I'm going to a transaction, like let us assume I'm going to this create order transaction. So within a create order transaction, there is something called as events, there is something called as user exits. There is something called as pickup status, drop status. There are these many things. What is meant by events? As we have already discussed, event is something which is triggered or invoked after the process of, or after the API invocation is completed. Like for example, you want to place an order, you invoke create order API. So the outcome of that particular create order API, whether it is success or whether it is failure or it is having any incomplete payment information or anything, like if you go to the Java docs of create order API, you will understand there are many events, and it will also explain you which event will be raised on what outcome of create order API. Like for example, you created an order, you don't have the proper payment information, so you can see this incomplete payment information event is raised when an order is created and the payment status of the order becomes await payment info. This event is not applicable for quotes. Payment status of an order is set to await payment info under the following conditions. So whenever the following conditions are met, or whenever an order is satisfying these following conditions, then this particular event is raised. So likewise, you can see like there is something called as on awaiting reservation acceptance. This event is raised for each status on order, so and so. Promotion changed. This event updates the redemption tracking data for promotions applied to the order. So every event has its own reason to be raised. So event is something which will be raised based on the outcome of an API. So now the next question. What is happening inside an event? So let us assume you have placed an order and it is success. So we know that it will raise on success event. Like if you see, the event is raised upon successful execution of create order, that is called as on success. So it is raising, but what is happening inside the event? Let us go and see. So you can go, you can double click on the event. You will get what is happening inside an event. What is happening here? You can see there are multiple bell icons. So first this bell icon will get executed, then it is going and invoking one more bell icon. You can have multiple like that. What are these bell icons? Bell icons are called as actions. You can see the third part. Sorry, the fifth part. Those are called as actions. What is an action? Action is something which needs to be performed once an event is raised. So basically, transaction is pipeline is the parent, and under pipeline you have transaction. Under transaction you have event. Once the event is raised, you will invoke action. What is happening inside an action? Let us see. It is invoking the services. What is a service? Service is something which you configure here at the end. And internal to service, all the components, whatever you are configuring here, that can be done. And how to configure this? You have to use all these components. Okay, so this thing is more or less like our what we call it, hello world, or like that asynchronous service, all those things. So we will have one session on using all these components and using all these transport types, so don't worry about that. So basically what is happening when you place an order? First of all, this transaction gets invoked, and once it is success, failure, await payment info, back order, or whatever the event that is getting raised, that event will raise and it will invoke this action. And inside this action, it is invoking some service. What is this service? It is basically pushing the data to some database. And after this particular action completes, it is going to next action on created on success, order create on success. So in this, again you have some more service. What is this service? Again they are invoking some what you call that java code, and they are invoking some database and all. Okay, so all these things comes under actions and services. So that is what happens under event. So with this we have covered all the components within the service definition framework. Okay, but let us like maybe however we will cover these things in the creation and useful use of transaction, but I'll just go through once. There is something called as pickup status and drop status. What is meant by pickup? What is meant by drop? So when you see a pipeline, every pipeline is taking something, like whatever the arrows which are coming inside, it is taking something, and whatever the arrows which are going outside, it is giving out. So what it is taking, what it is giving out. So as we discussed earlier, transaction is something which helps the order to flow from one status to other status. And I have also mentioned that scheduled transaction is something which will process the order from created status to scheduled status. And release order is something which will the process the order from scheduled status to release status. So for every transaction, it can do only that certain job. Like scheduled transaction cannot move the order from created to included in shipment, or like for example send release transaction cannot move the order from created to shipped scheduled status, or this chain order create. So every transaction has its own what you call that rules set. Like for example, scheduled transaction can only process some statuses from one status to other status. So any status which is being picked by this particular scheduled transaction is called as pickup status, and any status which it is dropping to, like for example you can say it is taking from reserved to scheduled, it is taking from back order to scheduled, or it is taking from awaiting procure transfer order creation to awaiting, sorry, awaiting, okay, it is going from somewhere to somewhere. Okay, I'll let us not get it more complicated. Maybe you can see from reserved to scheduled, or back order to schedule, or like anything. So basically for any transaction you will have pickup status and drop status. So if you see, create order is not picking anything because that is the initial point, so there is nothing to pick. But create order can drop into created, reserved, back order, or reserved awaiting acceptance. These are all the different statuses. So how are these statuses coming? Because you have configured here in the drop status. So if you see pickup status for create order, there is nothing. If you see the drop status, you have these many. Okay, so likewise, if you go and see for schedule order, you will have many pickup statuses, and many drop statuses. Okay. Any doubts, guys? And user exit is something which again every API or transaction will have its own user exits, and these user exits will be invoked during the execution of an API uh, whenever an extra information is needed, like for example validation of an order XML which is coming into the API, or else like adding the extra information or any kind of an user exit. We will see implementing certain user exits as part of our what you call that sessions. So what else we have? Yeah, that's pretty much, guys. Like, okay, one more thing we have. So you might have this doubt, why these many tabs are present, but Pradeep is talking only about order. No. So whatever you are placing, that is an order. Okay. So in Sterling, we have many other processes like this. Like for example, you have something called as load. Load is nothing but you are using Sterling for load management also. Load management is nothing but you have one truck going to Bangalore, and in that truck you want to put many pallets. You guys understand what is meant by pallet?
Yes, Pradeep.
Cha. Okay, so this is a pallet. I mean, like in one truck, you can have n number of pallets. You might have seen this in on roads many a times. Okay, so you are placing the pallet into a truck, like something like this. You are placing the pallet into a truck. So all those things, like you want to manage all those things. So in Sterling, there is something called as a load management, and this load management will help in maintaining that, or else like helps in flowing, or like helps in managing that particular load, how it should flow from warehouse till the truck. So all those things are coming under load, but this is mostly used in Sterling warehouse management system. In order management system, we don't use it. Coming to general, in general also you can see there are many things. Like for example, under general is like a miscellaneous place. You can do, you can put our stuff also here. You can use this general for order, shipment, anything. Like it is something like uh, how to say, our desktop. Okay, you just place whatever the miscellaneous stuff, right? You can place all that. It has no flow, nothing. General has nothing to do with any process. Okay, and you have many other things like put away. Put away is a process called moving the inventory from the receiving dock to its prescribed location is called put away. There is a process in warehouse. And layout is called as like the warehouse layout, how the warehouse has to be designed, like from locations, zones, and stations, pack stations, pick stations, printers, look, all those things under layout. And this inventory trailer is also again comes under load. The task is also like something, pick task, pack task, and all. So like most of these things are used for warehouse activity. Okay, and count is also a warehouse activity. Count is nothing but, like, you guys remember one day I was mentioning about a count execution or cycle count process, which will be done in the store or in any supermarket. They will be doing a physical count to keep the inventory sync in between, like the physical inventory and the inventory which is present in your system. Like for example, in your system you have 99, you have physical only 95. So they will be checking where are those four. Like people like us, we will put we will take some of product and we will keep it in some other location. So in order to have that confusion done, they will use something called as cycle count. Container is again part of the pack process. Whatever you are getting to your home in a box is called as a container. Wave is also one more concept in WMS. So wave is basically uh, segregating the shipments. Like wave uses, I can say, very big process is there, but yeah, like wave is basically segregating the shipments. Work order is basically used for assembling. Like one day we have discussed, right, as part of our console, like we have work order. Where is it? This one, service work order console and all. So what is meant by work order? One day I have mentioned, right, like in order to assemble a product or in order to fulfill your request, like you placed an order for an personal computer, so they should assemble monitor, keyboard, mouse, CPU and all. So internally it will create a work order. So that is what it is, and I'm not aware of this opportunity what it is. But all these things are used in Sterling warehouse management system. In Sterling order management system, we use only order and this general. And coming to order also, you are using many things here. Like for example, whatever we have seen today is just order fulfillment. And if you go to outbound shipment, again the same thing will have for outbound shipment also. You'll have pipeline, you will have transaction status, conditions, everything. And if you go to return order also, you will have all those things. Return shipment also, you will have all those things. Like for example, if you go to outbound shipment, you check the pipeline. Let us see what is present in outbound shipment pipeline. Or is it low? You can see shipment is created, then it is going to shipment created status, then it is going to send to node, shipment being picked, shipment packed, shipment shipped. Okay, so like this is how what you call that shipment process happens. Likewise, for any process you take here, it will have its own pipeline, it will have its own transactions, it will have its own statuses, actions, conditions, services. Everything is different for every process we take. Is it clear, guys? Or
Yes, Pradeep.
would ask, is it useful? I mean, like you guys understood or
Yeah, useful only,
Yes,
Pradeep.
okay. Okay, guys, that's all I had for the day. We'll connect back on Monday and we will continue as I just mentioned, right? Like today we have discussed on many things. So going forward, we will discuss on how to use each and everything, like the conditions, user exit, actions or events, and we have the transactions. So whatever we have in this, right, like on that particular pipeline, this definition, sorry, service definition framework, we will show you guys like how each and everything can be used, configured, and implemented. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Chalo then, like we'll connect back on Monday. Happy weekend. Bye bye.
Happy weekend. Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you.
thank you, Pradeep. Happy weekend.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.